Hello, welcome to Lesser Hampden. My name is Craig Cairns. This week I have Robert Borthwick with me, and this is SPFL Extra. Coming up on this week's show, we're going to run through each Premiership club, take a look at their squad and have a look to see where they should be strengthening. And then, as always, we'll be taking a look at some of your best comments from last week. We're going to start this week's show by going through each Premiership club, taking a look at which position they should potentially sign for in the remaining days of the transfer window. We're going to start with Aberdeen. They currently have injury problems at the moment with players like Jack and Flood. They've been linked with the likes of Ross Draper, Don Cowie, Craig Slater, Stuart Bannigan. Is this the position they should be looking to strengthen, Robert, or...?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at the game at Tynecastle a few weeks ago, and they were maybe just a little bit light in the midfield. As soon as Willow Flood went off, you know, they didn't look like they had that strength in there. A signing like Stuart Bannigan would certainly be, you know, to strengthen them, certainly. And also, Derek McInnes looking up front as well. The likes of Sam Gallagher's been linked from Southampton. So he's certainly looking to strengthen the backbone of that squad.
Similarly with Celtic, the central midfield positions is somewhere where they're a little bit light. They've dropped Johansson from the position he excelled in attacking central midfield. He's now been dropped in there. Callum McGregor's had to drop in and play there recently as well. So yeah, Celtic, that seems to be a position where they could be strengthening also.
Certainly, I think so. I mean, obviously they just got Sviatchenko in, obviously a defender to shore up that position as well. I think Ronnie Dyler is going to have to be looking though at, you know, maybe building a backbone for a Champions League team. Maybe another big signing in there just for the next 6 months, get him used to it, obviously get him into the Champions League, and then they can build from there. But yeah, I'd say central midfield is definitely a place where they can strengthen.
If this had been a few weeks ago, maybe we would have said that central defence would have been a priority for Dundee given their injury problems there. They've now sent Darren O'Day, so maybe that issue's sorted. Kevin Thompson's just left. Is central midfield a position they should be looking at strengthening now, or is they still lack width at the moment, Dundee?
I would say more pressing would be the width issue. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of Dundee fans this year anyway, and they all seem to think that out wide they could certainly, you know, have a bit more than Greg Stewart in there, so maybe strengthen that position. But losing someone the like of Kevin Thompson around about the same time they lost James McPake to injury, that's two leaders out the squad. So maybe having a sort of an older head in midfield would certainly be to their benefit.
And added to that, before Saturday, Dundee had only won one match without Kevin Thompson in the team at some point. So
yeah, he's definitely a big loss. That's without a shadow of a doubt. But I seem to think that, you know, the wide positions are maybe where they could certainly look to strengthen.
Dundee United could probably do with a whole new starting 11, no?
Yeah.
Just kidding, no, we're only joking. Now Mixu has already signed the likes of Kawashima, Gunning, Demel, Cinema Pongo, Risky. He's brought Annie back, Paul Payton's back from injury. Do Dundee United need to sign anybody else?
Probably. If you look at their league position, you know, it's 14 points is a big gap. But you're looking at still that back line. I think that still needs to be strengthened a little bit. The likes of Ryan McGowan looks like he might be outgoing at the end of the season anyway. So I think that back line still needs a little bit of metal, a little bit of strengthening in there.
Hamilton have been on a bit of a poor run recently. One clean sheet in the last 14 matches. Is a central defender too obvious to point out where they need to strengthen?
No, I don't think that is too obvious. You look at, I mean, they've got Talia Pietra, they've got Garcia Tena.
Devlin just came back for the last couple of matches.
Devlin just came back, but then you're looking at the depth as, you know, Martin Canning. I think they need to get a little bit stronger in that area. If one of them drops out, then you're looking at a little bit of difficulty.
Do they just put Canning back in?
Does Canning put himself back in? That's the question. I don't know if he will, and I don't think he should, to be honest, personally. But we'll see what happens with that. But I think a centre defender would certainly help their cause.
Now Hearts are just perfect in all areas of the pitch. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. I think.
Is it, put it this way, is it a matter of them holding on to players rather than signing someone?
Yeah, I think, you know, Robbie Nielsen's come out and said any signing will be as a replacement. He's not looking to particularly strengthen any area. Potentially a striker with, again, Sam Gallagher, that name coming up. But he plays his cards very close to his chest. I think if likes Callum Patterson or Jamie Walker or Sam Nicholson leaves, someone might come in. But other than that, it's going to be a quiet window for Hearts.
Don't go Osman. Inverness are next on the list because they're next in the alphabet, Rob.
Makes sense.
They tried to sign Anthony Stokes recently, but they've missed out on that. Is an attacking player where they should be looking to sign?
I think so. I mean, their biggest signing obviously is keeping Miles Storey on for the rest of the season from Swindon Town. But as Inverness usually do, they'll throw a fishing rod into the lower leagues of England and pull out a couple of players. They always do that anyway. They've done it with Alex Fisher.
And it works.
It does work. It's tried and tested. Their scouting system obviously works well for them. But yeah, I think another attacker up there to complement Storey would definitely be the best for John Hughes in this window.
So tell me, Rob, which ex-Hearts or Rangers player should Kilmarnock sign next?
I've just been looking at the out-of-contract Hearts players for the end of the season, actually. Funny you should mention, Billy King certainly strikes up. But yeah, Kilmarnock, Gary Locke signed so many players now, I'm not sure how much he really needs to add to that.
He started to give youth a chance recently and it seems to be working for him.
It worked for him at Hearts towards the end of that relegation season, obviously, that Hearts had, getting Sam Nicholson in there. He's doing that with like Adam Frizzell, Greg Kiltie, all these kinds of guys. So it seems to be working to a reasonable degree just now anyway. They're 14 points ahead of Dundee United, so it'll be interesting to see if Gary Locke makes any movements in the window.
Stick with the youth, don't sign anyone else.
Absolutely.
There's been a common theme on this episode so far, but central midfielder again is a position that Motherwell should possibly be looking at. They were missing Lasley at the weekend and it really messed up the formation. They were forced to move Law into central midfield. They had to then play a left back at right back. So do you agree that that's where they should be looking?
I think so. I mean, you see the drastic measures they had to go to against Hearts because of that loss of Lasley. Liam Grimshaw's obviously left to go to Preston now as well. So yeah, I think a central midfielder, Keith Lasley's not getting any younger as well, so he's got to be thinking about the future with that one. So yeah, I think central midfield is where Motherwell should have a look to.
And they certainly have enough strikers.
They certainly do. Yeah, I think they're sorted in that front for
well stocked.
Anyway. Yes.
Partick Thistle always seem to sign a striker around this time of year for a couple of seasons in a row. It was Lyle Taylor actually. Robbie Muirhead's gone back to Dundee United. Doolan signed a new contract. Do they need someone else up front there with them to take some of the burden?
I think so. I was going to say actually Chris Doolan's probably the biggest signing they could have made in this window. Getting him to sign on till 2019, that's a huge...
Very underrated striker.
Hugely underrated. I've got a lot of time for Chris Doolan. He found himself out of the squad for Matthias Pogba earlier in the season. But that's a great sign. But I think so, maybe just to beef up their options up front. Losing Ryan Stevenson or, sort of punting him out on loan to Ayr, that's another goal threat that they've lost. So, leaving it with just Amu, just... Doolan, I think they need to add to that area of the pitch.
So it seems to be a case of one Quinn out and another Quinn in for Ross County. Rocco Quinn has left the club and joined St Mirren. It looks like Paul Quinn may rejoin the club because that was going to be my suggestion about where they should look to strengthen. They've conceded a lot of goals at home recently. Quinn and Andrew Davies would actually make quite a good central defence for the Premiership for a club like Ross County. Where else in the park do you think they should be looking?
I still think, even though they do have 4 strikers, I think another striker, or certainly an attack-minded player, should that should help Jim McIntyre beef up that part of the pitch. You looked, without Boyce, without Currans, that's a big miss. Schalke and Graham came in at the weekend, they did okay. But I think that they can definitely strengthen that area. They can bring it a little bit more out of the likes of Jackson Irvine as well if you have players ahead of him. So yeah, I think looking for the future, certainly with Liam Boyce potentially not being there for too much longer as well.
Yeah, you can't see him being around there. If he continues his form, you can't see him being there for a terrible. Oh my God!
A terribly long time. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So I think another striker would definitely help their cause.
Saved. Thanks. Now, one transfer that looks like it could go through over the next few days is Michael O'Halloran to Rangers. We spoke about this on the show last week about it being a bit of gossip. There's a bit more substance to it now. But you've been hearing some other rumours about a potential replacement should he go to Rangers.
Yeah, I think it's well known that Tommy Wright is a big fan of Danny Swanson. Danny Swanson not getting much game time at Hearts just now, maybe a little bit frustrated by that.
He's not really taking his chance when he has had game time as well.
Exactly, yeah. So I think if O'Halloran does end up signing for Rangers, then Danny Swanson might be a natural replacement there.
Yeah,
he came in and did so well for them under Tommy Wright last season on loan from Coventry. So yeah,
scored that absolute raker at Celtic Park to win the game as well.
It was an absolute beauty, yeah. So I think that's a potential rumour that we can start right now.
We want your gossip wherever you find it. Trawl through message boards. Have a look through Greg's queues to see who you see there near your football club. Hide in an airport bin, see who you see checking in and out, whatever, and then leave what you find in the comment section below. But now it's time to get to some of your best comments from last week, and again we asked you to give us your transfer gossip. We're going to start with Kevin Thompson. He's just left Dundee. Gav M, he's suggesting either St Mirren or St Johnstone should be having a look at him.
I think the St Johnstone link-up, maybe not so much, because he has said his body isn't really capable of playing at the highest level now. St Mirren, I think he'd be a fantastic signing for, given that little bit of experience in the centre of the park that Jim Goodwin often offers. But it looks like he's going to Hibs. It looks like he's going to be
turned up wearing a Hibs jacket the other day.
that gives you a fair impression. Yeah, I think he's going to go back to Hibs as our sort of player-coach role, but it's not quite been confirmed yet. But yeah, it looks like that's where he's going to head off.
Next up, we have a suggestion from Moose Coops, Ronnie Mackay and Andrew Morrison. They've mentioned one that we've already covered on the show, and that's Stuart Bannigan to Aberdeen.
Yeah, I think a little bit of steel, a little bit of metal in the midfield would certainly help them. Willow Flood's going to be out for quite a while now with that hamstring tear, so yeah, I can see it happening as well. It'd be a good signing for both for Bannigan and for Aberdeen.
Tumani Diogaraga, is that what you said? How did you say it before? Diogaraga.
Aye. It seems right to me.
Tumani Diogaraga.
Yep.
Tumani Diogaraga. Him to Rangers. There's been no secret of this one. That's been mentioned by, there's a lot of people here. Football Genius 2002, Damien Spears, Jack Logan and Barcelona 1972. He's a central defensive midfielder. I covered this in the show a few weeks ago. They've been playing Andy Halliday there. It looks like it's an area that they do need to kind of get someone in for.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. They had John Eustace on trial since the beginning of time, so I think that might not work out. So Diogaraga.
Well done. You should be in this seat.
Aye, I should. No, I think he would be a good signing. It certainly seems keen to play under Warburton again as well. So yeah, that definitely looks like it might get pushed through before the end of the window.
The next suggestion we got came from Noah McLaren and the Buzz Eagle, and that's Scott Bain to Aberdeen. This was rumoured just after Danny Ward was recalled by Liverpool, but we don't really think this one's got much chance of happening now.
I don't think so. Aberdeen have made a signing in Adam Collin from Rotherham down south, so obviously he's only on loan, but I think now that they've got that cover there with Scott Brown there as well, I don't think that might happen imminently, but certainly you never know at the end of the season. Scott Bain is a goalkeeper with a huge future, so it'll be a real coup for anyone who does end up signing him.
Finally, we're going to finish with Nick X Pulse, and he's mentioned Carlos Mane of Sporting. Do not call them Lisbon. Apparently Sporting have said they want a sizable fee just for the 6-month loan, and it's put Celtic off.
I think that would put anyone off if they're asking for the likes of £1 million for 6 months of a man's service. But I think possibly in the future, looking to the summer transfer window, if Celtic are still interested, that might be an option. But yeah, I think if Sporting Club de Portugal are looking for
good pronunciation.
Thanks, man. If they're looking for that fee up front just now, I'm not sure Celtic will part with that.
That's it for this week's SPFL Extra.
It's a show by the fans for the fans.
You can subscribe to us on this channel, or you can like us on Facebook,
or you can follow us on Twitter at SPFL.
Remember to leave us your crazy gossip that you find anywhere you find it. Leave it in the comments section below, and we'll see you next week.